So very often I'm just looking at renders and say like things like there is gravity involved, there's physics involved, but then you push it to a certain limit, and all of a sudden you see, oh, it is actually possible to go over that imaginary wall that you think you have.
It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you for finding me. Like, I don't even know how you found me, but
I find
you did.
people. I find people.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, but I love that you call yourself a production magician.
Yeah, some sort. I found my own niche. That's why when people are asking me, what are you actually doing? I'm like, I'm kind of that niche product, like not really good in something, but good in a lot of things that are needed.
Oh, okay.
So it's yeah, I'll do
But
some magic to make things work.
yeah, but I do think when I saw it, I thought, but it's so accurate, really, because it is magic. You know, if you look at the productions and the things that we see, it's really as if magic happened there.
Yeah, but that's the beauty about most of the shows, no? So currently we're setting up for Dragone in Saudi, which is when we opened the show for the first time, which is roughly 2 years ago, we started rehearsing without even having theater walls. So the whole site was
Really?
literally a construction site, and we started doing validations inside while they still would build the building around us.
Wow.
Um, Never believed that when you see the footage that came out afterwards or the beauty of the show. Um, and it's very similar now. Like now we have the building, but it's still all the infrastructure buildings, making them different. Right now we are in the first round of technical validations. So we try all the elements, break them, make them better, make them shiny, getting a lot of notes. We're very glad that the Ministry of Culture here in Saudi is very involved, which is a blessing. You learn so much about Saudi culture, and you get to translate it in your art, which is props and scenic in my case, and artistic in other cases, and dance, lights. It's huge. It's a super beautiful, huge show. Yeah.
But it's so wonderful to talk to you about it because it's something that, you know, we see it, but we don't always realize there's really people behind this and people thinking this up and working together. And do you think this behind the scenes people are always aware of the specific jobs that they are?
I can only speak for myself. Like I'm certainly not.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of keeping the illusion upright for the audience. I don't necessarily think that the audience needs to know how much work it is to get a product on stage that they're paying for and that they're seeing. I truly believe that when the team behind the scenes is giving it all and loves their job, I believe you feel that as an audience member. You might you might not be able to tell what the feeling is for you, but I think experience a perfect show means that backstage needs to function and have a great team and a great spirit. I think that's something the audience surely recognizes. And I think it's like very little reactions. It's like sometimes people go out of a show and say, yeah, it was nice. That's a show where I think it's still a good show, but not the maximum that we could have reached. And then on other hands, you have people that are coming and say, oh, you've been on this show. Did you see this effect that we did? That was so impressive. How did you even do that? And that's when I think we did a good job backstage.
Oh,
When
really?
they
Yeah.
have the memory of something that stood out over a time.
Mm. And do you find if you in this process, because it must be a very creative process between a lot of people, but that it sort of evolves into from initial idea to in the end where see it, do you have then this feeling, wow, we achieved it?
Oh, totally. So very often I'm just looking at renders and say like things like there is gravity involved, there's physics involved, but then you push it to a certain limit, and all of a sudden you see, oh, it is actually possible to go over that imaginary wall that you think you have. And yeah, I like that creative process very much, to have the freedom to play around, to push boundaries, to see how far you can go.
And do you, because you do different things, you do also a prop design?
Yeah, currently I'm working as a scenic and props manager. So what I do is I get renderings from a stage designer, work closely together with the artistic team. And what I do is I make renderings visible and functional. So I'm very much involved in sorting the right fabrics, making sure the right mechanics are there so it's safe, it can be handled, and it gives the image. So I'm very much translating between an artistic vision and something that can be achieved building wise. So the parameters you always have is unfortunately money, but it's also time, and it depends also with whom you're working artistically, how much they give you the freedom, or how much they're open-minded and saying, okay, I can let go of this idea and therefore have the other one really big, which sometimes helps. So yeah, there's a lot of I'm not sure if I would call it really design, but is making the props work and translate a vision into reality, that's for sure.
And of course, if you work with actors or you work with performers, then you have to also take into account that they have to work with these props.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love working with actors, and I encourage them to give their ideas, to give their needs, and to speak up for that and to making it work. It's a lot of tryouts that we're doing. So staying in that show, because it's such a good example, what we have here is 6-meter high palm trees that the performers are carrying on their back. So obviously that's a huge impact on the body, and it's a lot of try and fail, like where does the weight distribution need to go, but also keeping the design of a real palm tree alive without making too much compromises in that. So I think the solution that we recently found is sponge. So we are craving sponge and carving and painting because that's super lightweight.
Yeah.
And the more you can incorporate the artist in the process that you're going through, the more likely they can handle it to a good amount for themselves. And the more they are on board in also trying to carry it and making it work.
And so initially with the production, you have to first talk to the director and you have to know exactly what the story is, what they want to achieve. And then how much freedom do you have then to do the work or the designs or the production?
That pretty much depends on the artistic team. Okay. So there is designers or artistic teams that want to have it very specific and very accurate, exactly how they've drawn it, which is a great challenge because you need to find the right material that exactly looks like that, but still making it functional. And others say, I'm looking for something. And then you start with material samples, color samples. They're like, it could be looking like this, it could be looking like this, and then slowly guide them in a way where they would like the design and the functionality of it.
So what do you prefer, the freedom or the sort of knowing what they want?
I think a beauty of my job is that I can have it all. And I think it's the mixture of things that gives a different challenge in each job, in each item that you're building, in each artistic director you're building, like you're working with. It always teaches you something. You always learn, you always grow. Is it in communicating? Is it in a new material? Working with a different supplier, working with a different method. It really doesn't matter, to be honest, because it keeps on giving.
Oh, okay. But I see you do so many different things, and I've read also that you toured with Helen Fisher.
Oh, love that. Yes. She's a rock star. A big.
Amazing. But and what is it like? Because that must also then be again something different.
Yeah, so I totally enjoy touring. I love sleeping in a nightliner. I like to be in different places every 3 4 days. I get very impatient when I'm longer than 2 months one
Oh,
place.
really?
I really like the change and being on the road. We toured together a summer through Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We'll do it again next summer. She is special. I was never a fan of her music, to be fair. But she, as a boss, is totally amazing. She would know all the names of the crew. She would address us. Would they thank you? Would be there for whatever we needed. Super kind. Really, she's like backstage as kind as she's on stage, and a beast in all positive things. Yeah, like she delivers full on, but she also asks for 120%, and that's something that I really like.
And did she has an idea, or she has a team that knows exactly what should happen or how it should look, or is this also then input from you?
In that case, it's not like in that case I would tour as a props technician and backstage manager, and keeping the set alive, making sure it'll be rebuilt and well maintained in every city, which is on tour quite a challenge because you can't take your whole workshop with you. So you need to be a bit improvising depending on what it is. In her case, the artistic team came from Cirque du Soleil, and we had a rehearsal period where we tried a lot of things, and then you get the kit delivered, and then our task is to make it tourable and to make sure that it's built in the same structure in every city, basically overnight.
Wow. But that must give you a few sleepless nights.
Yeah, touring, you get very adaptable with your sleep.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You sleep whenever you can.
Oh, okay. But and also I saw that you were involved in the Eurovision.
Yeah. That was this year, the Basel edition. I had 2 amazing TDs that were really trustful and great to work with, like with the right support. And that was just, I don't know, for a props technician like me, that is just like Christmas.
Oh, really?
You have 37 countries, out of them 29 have props. And they are all different, from a huge chandelier over the winning boat to a sausage that we painted. All the things, like from big curtains, the Australian blender. I never believed that this is what it did. There was just the whole toolbox open in once. It was my first Eurovision, so I came in there very innocent, which was great. But the impact on the material is very different there than you have in a normal show, because the changeovers are so quick. We're rehearsing quite a lot with it, so the stability of these props is another level than anything that you have in a theater. Yeah, but work environment of an Eurovision, I think it's the best operators, technicians that you could have in any position. So whoever is there is an absolute star in whatever they're doing. And that's just amazing. That's a really good vibe to work in.
Because
and I like Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
That makes it easy as well.
I totally understand what you mean. But yeah, it's now that you're mentioning it, I know here at the Staatsopera, I've seen how they change the sets during the day, how and it takes time. And you think, now that you're mentioning it, I didn't think even about it, but these sets change within minutes on a stage like that. So the organization and like you say,
there is a great stage management team. I think they're around 20 people. The head this year was Rich, and that's insane. They change over in 45 seconds. So you have like 40 people rushing on stage, cleaning everything, resetting everything, and rushing off stage. But it's also, I have huge respect from every artist that is going there, because for us, we are kind of used being backstage, pushing things quick on and then disappear. But it's the same for the artists. So there's no routine, there's no backstage hugging or anything like that. They have a precise schedule, and then they just get pushed on stage and need to perform in the biggest live TV show that the world has. So I know it's funny or sad, but the work that has been done by the people behind the scenes, but also by the artists, is a level that I never got to experience like that before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we watch it and we don't think about it.
And that's the beauty. But honestly, that's the beauty about it. That's exactly the beauty about our job. It's like you see somebody and he says like, oh yeah, there was this great thing. And I'm like, yeah, cool, you liked it.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's magic. You just nailed it on the head. It's definitely magic that happens there. What is the interest in the backstage for you?
I think I became this by accident. I was working in hotels, like in tourism. And I had a guest who said, man, you would be a great stage manager. I'm like, I have no idea what a stage manager does. He said, man, if you want, come over for work placement. So I went to Essen those days and did a work placement in Mamma Mia. And then he offered me a second one for Dance of the Vampires in Oberhausen. And then they decided to keep me. Was very.
What made him say that? What made him think? What did you do that made him think that you could be a great set designer?
I think it was stage management those days, but we would have like Dance of the Vampires has a huge set with a lot of props. Same Mamma Mia. So he would say like that I have a presence in the rehearsal room, that everything is on the place when it needs to be without catching attention. And that's what I'm trying until today. Like in bigger productions, it's obviously harder, but I'm trying that everyone has whatever they want or need and the timing that they need without them to worry about it.
But what is
and I think that's the same through all the roles. It's like as a stage manager, that's exactly what you do. You take care that your artist does not need to worry about anything else than to perform on stage. And I think it's the skill to figure out what that need is. So some need attention, some need quietness, some need other certain things. And I think the magic or the trick is to find what the actual person that you're working for needs. And it's, in my belief, it's the same in all the positions. It doesn't matter if I'm a stage manager or a production manager or assistant TD. It all loops down to the same people to be able to do your job good in a good way. You need to have the environment that suits you and that you feel comfortable for. And I think I'm trying to create that for people to say like, okay, I can speak up when I have a need. I can speak up when I have a safety question. I can speak up if I don't like something, but I can also speak up when I say like, this is great, I want to keep this, or that's something that I need for work.
Is it very important for you to have this relationship with the artist? You know, that you have this open communication.
I am communicating very openly, and I encourage my environment to do the same. I can't educate anyone. This is like, it's open, it's fine. I think my natural is like that. But I'm also not having close friendships to the artist. Like it stays in a distance level. It depends really whatever the artist needs, but I'm trying to not put any extra pressure on it, or I think like I'm trying to not put my needs into the game as well. It's like, we're here to give a service. Is it props? Is it technical? Is it stage management, organization, whatever it is? It's always a service that you give to the artist, who ultimately then gives it back to the audience. If that makes sense. It's very esoteric.
No, but I agree with you, but it's interesting to know that you feel this way. But did you, as a child, were you creative? Were you sort of organizational in a way?
I always say I'm German, like I'm qualified for being organized. Comes with both. And I use that for everything. It's like I'm sometimes when I'm getting very picky on particular things, like we all do. No, it's like I'm sorry for my Germanness. It's just in me. I wouldn't say I was a very free child. Grew up in the middle of the forest. And my day was about climbing up the trees and climbing down the trees. I needed to go to school at one point, and then I went to ballet school, which I liked. I loved that very much, and especially when we moved into the theater. And I think that's when I lost my heart to all of this. I loved the props and everything that was around. I would hang out in the props workshop while everyone else was warming up. And that's how it started. And then I decided to not dance anymore because it was not me and it was not my body. And I'm very glad that I understood that before I went into a dancer career that potentially would have hurt me or would have been so much more mental pressure than it needed to be. And I was happy starting traveling. With 18, I went to. Took me 8 years until I come back to Germany. I did a couple other countries in between, and I totally enjoyed that. Like that. That's, I think, when I figured like the traveling, the changing location and adapting to different environments is something that is way more important for me than something else.
Can you look back and when you started out and can you see if you or where you started becoming more daring in what you do on backstage, in the production and so on? Can you see that evolvement very clearly?
I had struggles, but again, I think my first boss who employed me and educated me was just amazing in how he taught me about how departments work, what the task of each department is, a lot of technical stuff as well, automation, everything that comes together. And I just soaked that in. For me, that was, without knowing it, what I wanted. But I figured after a while that I'm not made for these long run musicals. I think the most shows I did was in Dubai. I did La Pearl, which is also a big Dragone show, and the Resident show, a water show. And I think when I left, I did over 500 shows.
Wow.
And for me, that's, I wouldn't go in a contract like that anymore. Like more building it up, seeing it glow, and then leave it to the resident team.
Oh, okay.
So that's a bit the change that came over the years. Just happened.
But is there anything you prefer? Is there a type of production that you prefer? And because you're doing am I right? You're doing circus as well?
Yeah, I did all different kinds of circus. Cirque du Soleil and Dragone are probably the two biggest. circus companies. I also did Swiss National Circus and a couple smaller things. I did, together with Young Stage, a circus camp for kids during the pandemic, where we did shows with kids, artistic shows, which was amazing. I do like that, but I think my preference is in touring. I like the setup and tear down every day.
Oh, okay.
There's a strange romantic in it. I feel it's like you see the artist for the final song, which is usually the biggest impression. And you look at the same space 3 hours later and it's just empty.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that we get to see, and that's something very nice. Or you tour arenas that you go frequently and you find your confetti that you used a year ago in the same arena, and all of a sudden you find a butterfly there, which was the confetti that you used in the tour before.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's a couple of these little memories on and on. And yeah, if I would have a preference, touring is for sure my favorite.
You know, Sophie, the more you talk, the more I see the magic that you talked about, or that you have in your bio, that you write about. Yeah. Really, because that's also part of the magic, isn't it? That quietness afterwards.
Yeah. And it's like outside work, I'm very, very quiet. Like I enjoy long hikes, being on the beach. It's very little cities, very little noise. So it's quite a counterbalance.
But it must be also a great feeling if you, like you said, when you were involved in the staging and the audience go crazy, you know, and the performer is there, and you experience that as well.
Yeah, there's sometimes, depending on the staging, sometimes scenic elements appear and they get an applause right away.
Really?
That makes me always very proud. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. But Sophie, what is the wishes for you, or what is the dream?
Oh, that's a big question for somebody who doesn't even know what to do in the next 4 weeks. I'm very famous for not planning the future.
Okay.
I think the dream is to see the entertainment in general, to see it a little bit evolving. I think on 2 sides. One is, I think we need to think about being more sustainable, especially like looking at big festivals or the big tours. It's quite an impact and a footprint that we have, and keeping that scale of production, but making it more sustainable or reusable, I think is something where we're doing big steps, great steps. But I think seeing the rest of the world, I think that's something where we should put more effort in, which always comes down to money, to be fair. And the other thing is, I think, especially in our environment, talking about entertainment, I think we need to be more open when it comes to work models. Because all of us, we're sacrificing family, we're sacrificing privacy. You can count the events, like the birthdays that you've been, rather than the ones that you've not been. And it's usually like that. You sign up for the tour and you have to do it all. And I think we should be able to be more flexible and exchangeable there, to also get the mental load a little bit lower. That is on a lot of touring people. And I think it's the same for production. I feel the working hours and the intensity of work had quite an increase in the last years. It's on one hand great, but on the other hand, we are all humans, and it's
Exactly.
Let's say we're working 8 to 9 months a year. That's quite a challenge to keep that pressure all this time. So I wish there was in some productions more time to look at different models to be able to take a sabbatical or time off without being erased from the job list. Because that's I'm not sure the freelancers out there, but that's reality. Like you declined a job once, twice, and they will not call you again. Which I understand, but yeah, I wish that's the two ways where we as an entertainment branch could do better.
It's so important what you're saying now, because it's, I think, in all artistic fields like that, even with performers sometimes, they have to push through when they can't really, but just because of this, the pressure of losing the job or losing the role, and it's interesting that it's even in your case the same.
Yeah, even there, I think it should be more. It gives a lot of, like, every performer knows that there is 10 others that could do the job, and they're potentially younger, different, whatever. And it would be great if you be more open for sharing jobs, so you take that concurrence a little bit away and that pressure of functioning. I think that would give a lot of other artistic output as well. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I didn't think it would be in your case the way, but of course it's the art industry, and it's almost, it comes back to the value of it, the how people value what artists do. And I know it is that part of the magic that you talk about, what happens on stage, but then on the other hand, actually, it's great talking to you and you telling what does go on behind the scenes, because it makes it then also that we appreciate what you're doing so much more, because we understand that it's not just, it just doesn't happen.
But I rarely work with artists who do not appreciate a backstage team. I think there's always a couple people that are treating people differently, but the majority of people that I personally had the pleasure to work with are trying their very best to acknowledge us and to be there. That's really great. Yeah.
And I think it's also I'm specifically talking about the audience, that when you buy that ticket, you buy so much more than just that night's performance, because these things stay with you. It's being at a performance like that with all these visuals and everything happening. It does have an effect on the brain. It does have an effect on the soul, on the well-being, and yeah, that's part of what you're paying for.
Yeah, I have that conversation every now and then. I think my uncle had at some point, he said, like, oh no, the tickets are getting more and more expensive and we are so sad our theater is about to close. I'm like, okay, so when you're honest, when did you buy your last theater ticket? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, look, you can only keep the theaters alive if you go there. And I understand that some concert stuff got quite pricey, and that's fine. But what is dying is like the concerts that are coming in the middle. There's a lot of young artists that can't tour because the tickets are not sold, or people don't make commitments half a year prior. When somebody asks me, it's like, why is the touring production so expensive? I'm like, cost increase, like the hotel costs increase, petrol costs does increase. So there's a lot of cost factors that are just going up. And it's, if you see one artist on stage, the touring party is highly likely around 50, 60 people. So, and they all need to make a living out of this.
Exactly.
And I understand that is not necessarily what the audience member like pays for in the first hand. But you won't see an artist neither. They don't have us.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. But Sophie, this was so great to talk to you in Saudi. I've never
Welcome.
spoken to anybody
Pleasure.
in Saudi, but there you are.
It's a different world out here.
But I'm so glad we had the chance to talk. And really, congratulations with the beautiful work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.